It's back again!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. All right, on the show today, India's Asia Cup squad is set to be announced. Will we see Gautam Gambhir's imprint in this one too? A fit Surya Kumar Yadav is going to lead the side, but will there be double standards in picking the best squad in this format? Or will the best regardless be chosen? Pakistan released their squad for the Asia Cup. Babar, Azam and Mohammad Rizwan do not find a place. Is this the end of the road for them in this format? And is Pakistan once again barking up the wrong tree in the quest for retrospection and change? After Lionel Messi, it's time for Cristiano Ronaldo to step foot into India. The timing couldn't be perfectly imperfect. While Indian football fans are gearing up to be swept off their feet, Ronaldo will make his visit in the midst of growing unrest in the Indian footballing landscape. Could this then be the turning point India desperately needs? But first, a look at the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with football, Arsenal started their campaign this year with a 1-0 win over Manchester United in a closely fought contest. Ricardo Calafiori scored the only goal of the match. Meanwhile, title contenders Liverpool and Manchester City both made a winning start on day one. Liverpool eased past Bournemouth 4-2. Manchester City beat Wolves 4-0. Over in La Liga, Barcelona made a winning start to their title defense. The Spanish Giants beat Mallorca 3-0. Rafinha and Ferran Torres scored the first two goals. Lamine Yamal added a third in stoppage time. Marcus Rashford, who's on loan from Manchester United, came on in the 69th minute. This made him the first English player to play for Barca since 1989. Moving to tennis, world number 2, Carlos Alcaraz has entered the final of the Cincinnati Open. The Spaniard beat Alexander Zverev in straight sets. He will face Yannick Sinner in the final, who beat Terence Atman 7-6, 6-2. Meanwhile, in the women's draw, Iga Swiatek cruised into the final after a 7-5, 6-3 win over Elina Rybakina. She will now face Jasmine Paolini, who fought past Veronika Kudermetova 6-3, 6-7, 6-3. In cricket, Australia sealed the T20 series versus South Africa 2-1 after a nail-biting finale. Dewald Brewis's 53 powered Proteus to 172. In reply, the Aussies were struggling at 122 for 6, but Glenn Maxwell then came in and launched his onslaught, scoring 62 of 36 balls to win the match by 2 wickets. The two sides will now compete in the ODI series starting tomorrow. Over in basketball, Australia won their third consecutive FIBA Asia Cup title after beating China 90-89 points in the final. China were leading 36-21 up until the second quarter, but it was Xavier Cook's 30 points that really broke down the Chinese defense. The Asia Cup is around the corner, and one of the teams that all eyes will be on is the Indian national side. There's a lot of chatter around what the squad will look like given the controversies that have swirled around the players involved, so let's dive right in. The biggest reason why everyone is buzzing about the Indian selection is because of Gautam Gambhir and what kind of a squad he will pick. Gambhir has been instrumental in curating the new look test squad, a much younger side. So there is a lot of talk of him shaping this one as well. Of course, a lot of the seniors already announced their retirement from the T20 setup. But will there be any surprises here? Media reports are going on a spiral of Shubman, Gill and Yashasvi Jaiswal possibly not being in the reckoning. But why is this a shocker? They were not part of the last T20 series that India played. Let's look at the side that took on England some months ago. The captain was Surya Kumar Yadav. Akshar Patel was his vice-captain. So logically, that should continue. As of now, there are 3 captains in charge of the 3 different formats. Rohit Sharma for the one-dayers, Surya Kumar Yadav for T20 internationals, and Shubman Gill for tests. Are the selectors impressed with Gill's performance as a batter enough to get him a look in for the T20 lineup? If yes, how and in what capacity? Now, the Indian T20 side has a rather settled batting order. There is the firepower that Sanju Samson and Abhishek Sharma bring right at the top as openers. As a backup opener, the squad could rope in a Yashasvi Jaiswal, who is pretty lethal in this format too, then the newly promoted number 3 Tilak Verma. Now, this is a very solid top 3 here. Surya Kumar Yadav is fit to take the field after his surgery. He has been recuperating well and hitting his strides. We've seen him get back to training afterwards, so he comes in then. So Shubman Gill may not really find a place here. Now we come to the middle order. Now there's a lot of talk of Shreyas Iyer coming into the 11 possibly after his diligent showing across domestic tournaments over the last 1 year and the ODI format as well. Then that will mostly have to be at the expense of one of the players who are coming down the order. Let's look at who are the others in that lineup. You have a backup keeper. That should be a toss-up. The keeper should be a toss-up between Dhruv Jurel and Jitesh Sharma. All-rounder Hardik Pandya will be in. So too Rinku Singh, who's a game changer. Can Shivam Dubey still find a place in this mix? He will have to fight someone like Washington Sundar for a spot in the squad. Someone who has impressed all with his performance against England in the Test series that concluded recently. The spin department should see Ravi Bishnoi and Varun Chakravarti unless the selectors are trying to shake things up and get a top performer from the Indian Premier League or so. But the biggest inclusion in the bowling department has to be that of Jasprit Bumrah, the man who has been in the thick of it for the last few weeks. There has been a massive uproar over his workload management, as you can see, but rather the lack of it, much of which continues to simmer even as India approaches the Asia Cup. So Bumrah's availability, especially in the backdrop of all of this, does come as a big talking point here in the lead up to the Asia Cup. And Asia Cup, being a T20 tournament, shouldn't trouble the pacer all too much. But he will need some solid support from the other end. In the absence of an injured Mohammad Shami and with news of Siraj possibly missing out this one, the onus will be on a few of the personnel who showed promise in the IPL like Arshdeep Singh, Prasidh Krishna or Harshit Rana. But how does this squad overall look to you? There are a few injury and few niggles as well that are a few concerns for them. Do send in your thoughts. We're staying with news from the Asia Cup. Pressure is mounting on Pakistan here. The men in green are desperate to end their horrid run, and what's their answer? Yet again, chop and change. The Asia Cup squad has no Babar Azam and no Mohammad Rizwan, two of their biggest names. Dumped again. So is this the end of their careers in the T20s? Now let's be honest, Pakistan cricket is in free fall. The last few months have been nothing short of a disaster. Knocked out of the Champions Trophy at home in the group stages, humiliated 4-1 by New Zealand in T20 internationals, beaten by Bangladesh 2-1 for the first time ever, barely scraping past a struggling West Indies 2-1. And despite all of this, Pakistan think dropping their best batters will change their fortunes. Their reason? Strike rate.
There's no doubt Babar's been asked to improve in some areas around taking on spin and in terms of his strike rate. Those are things he's working really hard on.
Sure, T20 is about aggression, but is strike rate really Pakistan's problem? Not exactly. Against New Zealand, they were bowled out twice in 5 games, lost 9 wickets twice. Only once their batting order really managed to score over 200. It was a repeat against Bangladesh too. They were bowled out twice in just 3 matches. Now what good is aggression if you can't even bat out 20 overs? And here's the irony. Babar and Rizwan aren't out of form. Both were among the top 10 run getters in the Pakistan Super League this season. A decent one for 2 players who have already been under heavy scrutiny. Yet Pakistan showed them the door. Now this is the story of Pakistan cricket. No stability, no backing. Every failure is followed by sacking and scapegoats.
Calling them key players would be wrong and unfair. Babar, Azam and Mohammad Rizwan are not Pakistan cricket's key players at the moment. Key players are those who win matches for Pakistan.
Now, what Hafiz is forgetting is that Pakistan's biggest T20 high in the last decade came with these two in the ranks. They reached the 2022 T20 World Cup final under Babar's leadership. That is experience you simply can't buy. And despite all the failures, the selectors insist this young team can even beat India.
This team has the ability to beat India in the Asia Cup. Whether you like it or not, the match between India and Pakistan is the biggest in world cricket. Every player knows this.
But here's the difference. India too is moving into a new era without Rohit Sharma, without Virat Kohli, especially in the T20s. But unlike Pakistan, they've backed players and groomed them to replace the veterans. Result, India are number 1 in T20s, 13 wins in the last 15 matches. New heroes everywhere: Abhishek Sharma, Surya Kumar Yadav, Tilak Verma, Rinku Singh, Varun Chakravarti. Meanwhile, Pakistan's youngsters are not just battling opponents, they're also battling a sense of insecurity. Always one bad game away from being axed. Now, how do you build confidence in this way? If Pakistan's most successful players in the format are dropped, the management would do the same with any newcomer. Needless to say, Pakistan cricket doesn't need more chop and change. What it needs is stability. Players with experience who can absorb the pressure of big tournaments. Or players groomed to take up additional responsibility. Neither seem to be their vision. Without Babar and Rizwan, Pakistan might just walk into the Asia Cup weaker, not stronger. And if history has shown us anything, this new era might already be setting up for yet another heartbreak. Indian football is staring at a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Cristiano Ronaldo, the biggest name in world football, could visit the country. Not for a brand campaign, not for an exhibition match, but for a full-blown competitive fixture. Al-Nassr versus FC Goa in the AFC Champions League 2. And the question is, could this then be the spark Indian football has been waiting for? For months, Indian football has been struggling, apart from the women, of course, who've qualified for the AFC, both junior and senior editions of the Asia Cups. The men's team has been underwhelming. Governance has been chaotic and the future of the Indian Super League hangs in the balance. The AIFF is locked in a bitter fight with the league organisers. Clubs have suspended operations, salaries are frozen. Bengaluru FC and Chennai FC starting the process of taking a step back here. And now 11 ISL clubs have threatened to shut down completely. This is as close to a collapse as it can get. But in the middle of this mess comes a lifeline. Cristiano Ronaldo's Al-Nassr, drawn in the same group as FC Goa. If CR7 sets foot on Indian soil for a competitive match, the entire nation will go berserk.
This is truly a once-in-a-lifetime moment for FC Goa. It's a unique opportunity to bring global attention to Indian football, giving the game the spotlight it has long needed.
And he's right, because if there's one thing India guarantees, it's the craze for this sport. Just look at the Kolkata derby. Mohun Bagan faced East Bengal in the Durand Cup quarterfinals. Tempers flared, punches flew, drama everywhere, and a sold-out attendance. The match lived up to all expectations. Now, I'm not saying fighting means a good show. It just tells you the passion teams have for the sport and what an iconic rivalry represents here in the country. We have the appetite, we have the passion. What's missing is governance. So imagine Ronaldo walking out in Goa. The financial boost will matter. The sponsorship rush will be key. But more importantly, this is a chance to force global attention onto Indian football.
While the financial boost is important, the bigger picture is the opportunity this creates for long-term growth. The global attention, sponsorship interest, and fan engagement from a moment like this help strengthen the club's foundations, allowing us to invest in the future.
Now, once that spotlight is here, AIFF can't hide anymore. And it's not just Ronaldo. Reports even suggest Lionel Messi could come to India later this year. An exhibition cricket match at the Wankhede Stadium, which is in the Indian city of Mumbai. If all goes to plan, Messi might trade his football studs for cricket spikes. That's a fan event. Ronaldo playing a competitive match now. That will be manic. For too long, Indian football has been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Poor planning, poor results, poor execution and leadership. And a league in hot mess. Now, for the first time in years, it has a chance to be in the spotlight for the right reasons. Could this then be the wake-up call Indian football desperately needs? Despite the struggles of ISL, if a club can be pitted in the same group as Ronaldo's team, it just shows the merit Indian football still has. It's a test for the AIFF, for the clubs, and for the entire system. Because when the world's biggest footballer comes to play, the world will be watching. The question is, will Indian football remain a circus of mismanagement, or will it grab this chance to prove it belongs on the global stage? The passion is undeniable, the fans unstoppable here. It's time for the game in India to finally match that fire. Time for last serve. North Korea is taking giant strides in the world of sports. After marathon and football, they are now focusing on making winter sports that much bigger too. The country opened a newly renovated ice rink, a major transformation for the 40-year-old structure. And the first act, figure skating performances for the fans. Take a look. That wraps it up here on Firstpost. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care.